Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Cognitive Recalibration Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Shravan, and we've got Taran here with us.
Hey, everyone.
Today, we're going to be talking about the Netflix movie, Zack Snyder's directorial, Army of the Dead. So we're a bit late on this one. It came out last week, but we just didn't have a chance to watch it last week. So here we are. And in other news, we're also in lockdown again. So here we are remotely podcasting. So I'm in my house, Taran's in his house. We've got a Zoom call happening. So if there's any audio issues with this one, it's because of that. But we'll try our best to keep it as good quality as it usually is. All right, so Army of the Dead. I've had a week to sort of marinate on this. Like I've kind of thought about it because when I initially watched it, I was like, yeah, it's all right. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, and things start to sort of fall apart a bit. But we'll get into that. We'll get into our thoughts about that. Maybe I'll go through the background like I usually do, and then we can jump into our review. So obviously, as I said right up top, it's directed by Zack Snyder. As we mentioned in last week's episode, I don't think we'd ever thought that we would be reviewing two of his movies in the space of basically a couple of months. So Zack Snyder's Justice League and then this.
The year of Zack is upon us.
Yes. And I don't know what he's doing next, but there's that whole movement around bring the Snyderverse. Is it restore the Snyderverse? Is that the hashtag restore the Snyderverse?
Restore the Snyderverse. Yeah.
So that's happening. So you don't know what's going to happen next, because I never expected Zack Snyder's Justice League to come out, to be honest, and that happened. So anything's possible now. Back to this movie. So this movie is written by Zack Snyder. So he did the story. He's got a lot of caps on this one, actually. So he wrote the story, he wrote the screenplay, and then he also he was also the director of photography. So he was also the cinematographer.
Yeah, he was. He did everything.
Yeah, he did a bit of everything. This one is distributed by Netflix. So it did actually come out in cinemas for 1 week in the US. But here, for us, it was just a direct to Netflix release. In terms of the star cast, so it's headlined by Dave Bautista. He's probably the most famous actor in it, but it's got a whole bunch of other actors as well that they're probably familiar from other stuff that you've seen at some stage. Do you know anyone else in this?
There's Tig Notaro. Some people know her. She does like comedy.
Yeah,
she's the helicopter driver. Yeah,
and there's an interesting piece of trivia about her in this movie, which we can get into later. But basically, she wasn't originally cast for that role, and there was another person that they filmed all the shots with, and then they digitally put her into the movie in post. So apart from Dave Bautista, the other person I knew was Hiroyuki Sanada, who we saw as Sub-Zero a couple of weeks ago.
You mean he was Scorpion, not Sub-Zero?
Yeah, Scorpion. Sorry, not Sub-Zero. Yeah, Scorpion. And he's in other stuff too. Apart from that, I didn't really know they look familiar, but I don't really know many of the other actors. In terms of runtime, so this is one thing that I didn't particularly like. It's 148 minutes, so it's definitely on the long side. In terms of budget, how much do you think this one costs in terms of budget?
You ask me this every time, and frankly, I don't know, and I don't care.
How many
every
Bitcoins?
time? two Bitcoins in 2020. No, that's too much. 2037. 2 Bitcoins in 2037.
Because Quiet Place Part 2, that was 2 Bitcoins in 2050, I think it was.
Yeah.
So,
but you don't know when the dips and the rises are going to come, so it could be anything.
This one cost 70 to 90 million, and I think the movie probably looks better than what it cost, I guess. Like, it does look pretty good. There's a mixture of practical and visual CGI effects, so it looks all right. Box office wise, like I said, it had a very limited run. So it made about 780,000 in that 1 week that it was running in cinemas in the US. So this film was actually in development for quite some time. So in 2007, that's when it was first announced. It was with Warner Bros. For quite some time. And then eventually in 2019, I think Netflix bought it. And then Zack Snyder came on board as well in 2019. This is one of the 2 movies I think that's released in cinemas from Netflix. So the other one was The Christmas Chronicles 2. I didn't realize that also released in the cinemas, but that had a limited release as well. I guess we can jump into our thoughts on it. I've got a bit more information about the future of this franchise and what they're planning to do. I think they're trying to make it into a franchise, but we can talk about that after our thoughts on it. So what were before we do that, what's the story of this one? Like what's this one about? It's not a sequel to Dawn of the Dead, which is Zack Snyder's first film.
Yep.
So firstly, it's not a sequel to that, but yeah, what's this one about?
Basically, a zombie movie. There's zombies in Las Vegas and the city's walled off, and then they get hired by some guy to go into Las
Tanaka
Vegas. And
in this one, is it Tanaka?
Yeah, Dave Bautista gets hired by him to go into the city and take a bunch of money out of it. Makes a team out of a safe. Yeah, so he makes a team to kind of go into the city of zombies and do the heist.
And then Dave Bautista has to put together a bit of a team. They all have their different skill sets, and then the rest of the movie is just about killing zombies. Positives and negatives wise. So I'll start with the positives. I thought it had a decent mixture of humor and action. So the action was pretty good, and like I mentioned earlier, the effects were good. So the zombies were a mixture of practical and CGI, particularly there's some like key zombies, I guess. They were pretty good in terms of their practical effects. And I also liked like I said, there's a bit of humor. So it's a little bit, it's not like a super dark Zack Snyder movie. There's a little bit of fun to be had. But apart from that, not too much more in terms of I think there were some missed opportunities with this movie, and I'll get into that, my negatives. But did you have any other positives? Oh, Dave Bautista was pretty good. That was another positive. I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah. Look, I thought he was okay. He doesn't really do much, to be honest. Anyone could have done it.
Yeah, it's anyone could have done it. It could have been any...
Could have been any big dude, yeah. Could have been Vin Diesel. Could have been The Rock. Could have been anyone from Fast and Furious.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been anyone.
Anyone that was formerly a wrestler and then turned into an actor.
Yeah, any of them.
Yeah.
But I guess he had the most, in terms of character development, or like just characters that you care about. I think he had the most in terms of story, but everyone else, they're kind of just there. They don't really have much in terms of background. Negatives wise, so I thought is sort of what we were just mentioning. The characters, they had their quirks. Like each of the characters had like their speciality, and they had like certain personality trait as well. But then in the end, it was pretty inconsequential. Like none of the characters actually do anything in the end. And this is not a spoiler. It's just they don't do anything with the characters. It's just kind of just ends, and that's it. And then certain characters are given a certain amount of importance in this movie, just minor characters to drive the plot forward. They seem to be very important, but you don't really have any emotional connection with them. And I think you know what I'm talking about. And we can get into more details in the spoilers, but the plot moves in certain ways because of certain characters, and those characters don't really seem that important that the plot has to go that way.
I kind of liked it. I liked it initially when I watched it, but then afterwards I thought it's still okay. It's probably worth a watch, but like you said, there's many plot holes, and once you think about it, it's just a bit stupid.
There are quite a few plot holes when you start it's fun enough when you're watching it. I think the other thing is it probably could have been more fun. I think the way they did it. Firstly, the other thing was like you mentioned in the story, it is set in Vegas, Las Vegas, and that's a very unique city. And because they had that setting, I thought they would. And this is something I only realized afterwards, but this could have been anywhere. Like it didn't have to be in Vegas. Like they didn't really use the setting that much. It's sort of in some action sequences, but really it's not like it wasn't really that prominent. It could have been really any other city and it would have still worked.
Yeah, definitely. It's a missed opportunity in terms of that. It's just lots of corridors and hallways and stuff like that. Nothing. They have like one action scene in a casino and that's about it. So
that's about
the rest of it is, the rest of it's just kind of generic hallways and corridors and buildings.
And they probably could have done it. This is all based in the daytime, which has its positives as well because you can sort of see all the action and stuff. But if they did it during the night, I think it might have actually been better because they could have used the lights, like when Las Vegas all lit up. But I don't know, maybe the zombies like destroyed all of that, so maybe they couldn't do that anyway. But I think that might have been cool if they had all the lights of Las Vegas and they're fighting zombies. Any other negatives?
No, nothing really non-spoiler worthy. I thought it was a decent movie though. I enjoyed it when I first watched it. Probably won't watch it again. Just because, it's kind of long and drawn out. And then when you think back to it, it's like, why did it take so long? And you kind of can't see why. So
yeah, it's definitely longer than it needs to be. Like, it's not terrible. Like, it's okay. So I'll probably still give it a cognitive recalibration. It's probably worth watching once, especially if you like zombie movies. I don't think it's for everyone. If you don't like zombie movies, it's not going to turn you on it.
It's got lots of Zack Snyderism, so
it does.
The Zack Snyder fan base will probably like it.
They'll probably love it. But yeah, I thought it's fine. It's probably actually one of his better movies. So
it's better than Batman v Superman, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. That has massive plot holes, and so does this. But the plot holes in Batman v Superman are stupid, really stupid, compared to some of the...
They're groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they break the story, whereas this one doesn't break the story that much.
Not much.
It does a little bit, but,
it does, but
it's, yeah.
You can kind of go with it in this one.
In Batman v Superman, it's like, why is this a thing? In this, it's like, these people are just stupid, I guess. Like in, all horror movies. The characters are just stupid. But saying that, I saw this, that you'd find this funny. I saw this post on Facebook and it was like a Zack Snyder fan page and it had 4 categories. It's like masterpiece, best work, masterpiece. It had 4 categories. I can't remember what it was. One of them was masterpiece. One of them was underrated. And one of them was like what was the other? I can only remember the 2 categories, masterpiece and underrated, but there was 4 categories overall. And essentially, the guy put Batman v Superman in the masterpiece category, and I just immediately thought it was the most stupid thing ever.
Well, where does if that is masterpiece, then there's no category for the rest of them. Like because they're all, in my opinion, they're probably all better than that. So where did he put the other ones?
Watchmen was underrated, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's probably right.
Man of Steel was in it. And then the other one was, one of them was fan favorite, and that was Zack Snyder's Justice League was fan favorite. Watchmen was underrated. Man of Steel was something, and then Batman v Superman was masterpiece.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but for me personally, I think.
But they're wrong. But they're entitled to their own opinion, but it's wrong.
Yeah, you can have your own opinion, and it can be wrong as well. That's fine. For me personally, I think probably Zack Snyder's Justice League is one that I enjoyed the most. That's probably the one I like the most. Yeah, so I guess I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Zack Snyder then. That's probably my favorite movie of his. I think Man of Steel is probably not I don't mind Man of Steel. I think it's not a bad movie.
I think Batman v Superman's his worst movie.
Yeah, it's the movie I like the least out of his movies.
It's got good parts in it. Is this a Batman v Superman review? Yeah, I've suddenly forgot what we're reviewing. But yeah, Batman v Superman has good parts, but I don't like it overall. But this is similar. It's got good parts, but I like it overall.
I think it's got more good parts than bad parts. I think that's why. So yeah. So overall, I think I'd still give it a cognitive recalibration, which continues our streak of cognitive recalibrations. So
except for last week when Quiet Place Part 2 was
we just arbitrarily gave it.
No, it was. Go back and listen to the review.
Yeah, so I guess it's another recommendation from us. I think you have to be certain it's not for everyone. Like I can't see everyone enjoying this because firstly you'd have to. It is quite violent, so obviously kids shouldn't be watching it. You got to like zombie movies and gore. So if you don't like that stuff, then you're not going to like it. Yeah, it's a certain type of demographics, but if you're in that demographic, you'll probably enjoy it. All right, so we can jump into spoilers. So if you haven't seen Army of the Dead and you care about spoilers, you can come back to this point in this episode and listen to our spoilers. I guess we can start with the beginning of the movie. What happens at the beginning of the movie? Oh, the beginning is actually not that bad because they set up that this zombie is potentially an alien, right? Like the first zombie, the initial one, because it starts in Area 51, right? Or like in the outskirts.
They're like transporting the zombie from Area 51.
There's an accident that happens and the zombie escapes, and then that's when zombie invasion begins. And it's in the outskirts of Las Vegas, so that's where it begins. There's a typical Zack Snyder montage introduction that's in all his movies with a song. In this one, it's Viva Las Vegas, the song, and they just show the zombies taking over Las Vegas, and then they introduce the characters in the song as well. By the end of the introduction song, it's they've established that they've boarded off Las Vegas, and it's like a zombie city now, and then there's some survivors that are sitting on the outskirts. After that, I think they say the government's going to drop a nuke on Las Vegas to destroy all the zombies, right? And they're going to try to evacuate all of the survivors from the outskirts.
It's funny. At one part, they say that Las Vegas isn't part of America anymore, and I'm like, why would you do that? Like, who cares? Like, the government releases the area, so it's a foreign land. There's no reason for it or anything. It's just they release the area.
But then they drop a nuke on it, so does that mean that it's back to becoming part of America now?
I don't know. See, it's just stupid. Like, there's no reason for it at all.
Oh, that's because there's another part where they go into this area, right? And then they're like, someone says it's a free country or something, and then Dave Bautista's like, technically we're not even in America anymore. Or like someone says technically we're not even in America anymore. And then there's like, then someone says, oh, that means you're even more free because you're not in America anymore.
Maybe they did it for that line. He wrote that line and he's like, oh, I need to somehow fit this into this movie. So let's make Las Vegas not part of America anymore.
This needs to get in. But yeah, so there's a bit of a backstory for Dave Bautista, how I think he has to kill his wife because she's a zombie, and his daughter they set up this thing between him and his daughter because apparently they don't get along anymore or whatever. And that's kind of plays a part in the story a little bit. And then they kind of slowly set up all the characters. So there's all the people that Dave Bautista recruits into his team. There's this, so this was the character I was talking about. There's this character that's the friend of the daughter, and she also goes into Las Vegas to get money, I think. Is that why she goes in?
Yeah, they because all the money was left in Las Vegas, they want to crack open one of those coin machines.
Yeah, and just grab
the
all
pokey
the money.
Machines.
Yeah.
Grab all the money in, yeah. She wants to go in to gamble.
Yeah.
She wants to play some
poker. She's obviously addicted because she doesn't care if she dies. She just needs to gamble.
She needs the thrill of gambling.
Yeah, so there's that character, and a lot of the plot moves around that character because the daughter is initially, she's not meant to go in.
Okay, well, a lot of the plot doesn't revolve around that character. There's a couple of things that happen. So I could go through the story in 2 seconds from here. Look, it's a very simple story in 2 minutes. Spoiler. So he makes the team to break in to get the safe, and then his daughter works as a volunteer outside, and she's meant to help him get in. But then her friend or whatever, goes in the day before and doesn't come back out, so she wants to go in to find her. So she goes in as well. Then they all go in and they try and get to the safe. And then because the daughter's meant to stay with Dave Bautista, but she leaves and tries to find the friend, and then everyone dies. That is the story. Yeah.
And there's another thing that you missed, because the guy who hires them, he didn't even want the money. He wanted the head of...
That's a side story. He doesn't send them in to get the money. He sends them in, and then he puts his own mole in there to get ahead of one of the zombies so he can create his own army basically, with the zombies.
Yeah, we can jump into it. But firstly, about her friend. Because the reason I was saying the plot moves because of her is because everyone dies essentially because they're trying to save this her friend. Like, a lot of people die because they're trying to save her friend.
Everyone's not trying to save the friend. She's the only one trying to save the friend. Everyone else
but then everyone
dies
else,
because she goes.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone else dies because she goes. And then how many people die because of her? Because Dave Bautista's Mexican...
Dave Bautista dies?
Well, yeah, he dies at the end, but there's people that die in between. Like, there's that coyote or whatever, like the one that takes people into into
I don't know if
Vegas.
she dies directly because of her. The three main people that died directly because of her are Dave Bautista, the helicopter driver, and the guy that does the trick shots on YouTube or whatever.
The social influencer dude that does the trick shots, yeah. Does he die because I can't remember how he died, actually. And what about
he dies
friend?
at the casino.
Like, what about the Dave Bautista's friend who's like in front of the elevator? Does she die?
Oh, she just gets taken out, doesn't she? Like,
yeah.
They don't even know the other chick's gone at that point.
I think so, yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
No, I think they just find out. They find out because they're both going to go down and try to get her back. Yeah, I mean, that character wasn't that important. Does she die at the end? Does her friend
I think she dies at the end. The friend dies at the end as well. So it was all meaningless in the end.
Yeah. So I thought that was because they sort of have like a couple of scenes with her and her friend, and okay, she's her friend, but she wasn't really worth all this trouble, in my opinion.
Yeah,
she was not worth it because she dies anyway. In the end, everyone dies.
Yeah. Look, to spoil everything, everyone dies except the daughter.
Yeah, and one other guy,
but he's dead anyway.
Yeah, he's technically, and we'll get to that. The other plot point around the guy who hired them, I think his name's Tanaka, he didn't even want the money. He wanted the head of a zombie.
Yeah, which is weird that he hires people to go in to steal money when he doesn't want the money, instead of just hiring them to go in and steal a zombie's head. Like, it's easier to do that than get the money because there's zombies on the edge.
Because he's like, yeah, you keep half the money. So maybe they needed the incentive of getting the money, but
couldn't he just offer them?
Yeah, he could have just offered the money, and apparently the zombie's head is worth more than the money anyway. So he could have just told them that. Or maybe he's scared that if he tells them that, they'll just run away with the zombie's head. I don't know. It still doesn't make sense, but yeah.
But they could just run away with the money as well.
Yeah, they could have just run away with the money. And did he need that specific zombie's head?
So he just needed one of the alpha's heads. So there's like different zombie species, I guess. There's like a lower tier species that are just...
Oh yeah, they established there's like a hierarchy of zombies as well. There's like the slightly more intelligent ones.
Yep, and they get bitten by the intelligent ones get bitten directly by the the lead zombie guy, and the other ones just get bitten by other zombies, essentially.
Because I was thinking, if it's just any zombie, because they see zombies them like 5 minutes after they go into Las Vegas, so they could have just got any zombie's head and just left. Like, they didn't have to do this.
But the thing is, the first zombie they see is the zombie that they take the head of, because she's the alpha.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. She's
the first zombie they see.
Yeah, so they could have just, if they knew that, the operation could have been done in like 20 minutes. Like, they could have just got it.
Yeah, they could have been in and out, and it's not even dangerous.
So this is what I mean by it starts to fall apart. Like, when you start thinking about it, there is this hierarchy of zombies, and there's this guy that they take in with them, and that, like, they have their whole team, and then this coyote lady, she's like, what's her name? Lily. I think it's Lily or something. Anyway, she's like, we need one more person. And there's this like sexist police officer, is he? Or like, what is he? Like, he just works in the
security guard or something.
Security guard. Yeah, there's this guy that they set up to be like just a bad dude, and they end up having to sacrifice him, and he gets bitten by the alpha. You find out he gets bitten by the alpha, and he becomes one of the alpha zombies, and they set up there's like a little bit of tension between him and Dave Bautista's daughter as well. The other plot point. So what happens is everyone dies, essentially. Dave Bautista gets bitten by the zombie as well, and then his daughter has to kill him, right? Yeah, so his daughter has to kill him. She's the lone survivor of the operation. She's probably one of the reasons why the operation failed as well. there's this other guy, who's like the safe opening guy. He's like specialized in opening the safe. And when they introduce this guy, they're like, "Oh, why'd you bring the kid?" I'm like, this guy looks like he's 40 years old. How's this guy a kid?
He's not a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
In no way is he a kid.
He doesn't even look like he doesn't even look young. Like he has a bit of an arc, I guess, with this other guy that Dave Bautista knows. So there's a lone survivor. There's two survivors of this operation. So one is the daughter, and one is this other dude.
Yeah. So he's about to get the Alpha wants to kill them, and they're in the safe, and the safe cracking guy closes the safe on the other dude so that the Alpha can't kill him, essentially. But then they nuke Las Vegas after that, and he somehow gets out of the safe. So two things here. So he gets out of the safe. So either the safe got blown open and he got out of it, which means it would have killed him, or he opened the safe and then he got out of it where there's nuclear fallout, which would have killed him. So either way, he should be dead.
He should have
There's
died
no
because
way.
of radioactive waste, right? It should have been
Yes.
from that.
But if you think about it, if he's in a safe and the safe is closed and then it breaks open, the explosion to break it open would have killed him.
Well, it should have. So I don't know how he survived it. And this is the second week in a row we're talking about people going into safes in a post-apocalyptic world.
And he, he gets out of the safe and he takes all the money up with him as well. It's like, how did you do this, man? It's like 8 bags of cash.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like, and then he goes to like an airport or something and he just buys a private plane with cash.
Yep.
And then
goes to Mexico.
He goes to Mexico, but then you find out that he's been bitten by the alpha zombie. But for some reason, it's taking him a lot longer to turn into a zombie.
Because at the start of the movie, someone gets bitten and they turn like almost immediately, like 3 seconds afterwards.
Like in like 30 seconds, they're zombies. But this guy's, it's like a couple of days, it looks like. Because he has to walk across all of Vegas and then drive to an airport and then get on a plane. So
even Dave Bautista, when he gets bit, it's like, it's longer, but it's like maybe 20 minutes.
So anyway, they've sort of set it up that this guy is going to become a zombie unless he just kills himself, because he still has consciousness. So if he was smart, he would do that. And he has a gun as well, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure he has a gun, so he could just do it, but maybe he doesn't have time. And the next movie is going to be in Mexico. Mexico gets taken over by zombies. There's a lot of stuff that just, really falls apart when you think about it. But yeah, like overall, the action was not bad. I thought the action sequences were pretty good. They also set up like there's this tiger. There's like this zombie tiger as well. And there's like a zombie horse as well at one stage. So there's like zombie animals too. I did like the hierarchy of the zombies. Like that was pretty interesting. How they have like a king and I guess a queen as well. And there was like a zombie baby as well, I think, at one stage.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, but it just pisses me off because there's so many stupid things in it that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like in its own continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's like robot zombies, which might come up later. I don't know if you realize this. He shoots, like, there's one point where he shoots a zombie and there's like a robot eye. It's not explained at all in the movie.
Oh, there's another part when this guy that escapes and the German safe opener dude, they're fighting, or they're in the process of fighting the king zombie, and this king zombie wears like a helmet, like it's like a face mask type thing made out of steel or whatever, so you can't shoot him in the head. But then, so they try shooting him in the head, and they're like, he's got this helmet on, so it doesn't work. And then they start fighting him, and he takes off his helmet. Like they start fighting him hand to hand, and he takes off his helmet. And I'm like, you could have just shot him in the head then. Like, why are you going hand to hand with him when you could just shoot him in the head now?
They ran out of bullets.
There's just, stupid stuff like that. Oh, and then there's one point where they bring the nuking of Las Vegas forward like 24 hours or something as well. They're like, oh, we just decided to bring it forward.
We're just going to do it 24 hours early instead, which I thought was okay. The main things that pissed me off is how the guy got out of the safe and why it took him so long to get turned, and also why the chick is so stupid. Also, they tell the daughter that they're moving the nuke up 3 hours. They're moving the nuke up 24 hours, so it's going to get nuked in 3 hours. And then after they tell her that, she goes off to go save her friend. So what's the plan from there? Like, if she goes and saves her friend, there's not enough, because it's like 45 minutes at that point. There's not enough time to go back and find the helicopter. And there's not enough time to run out of Las Vegas. So, like, what's the plan there? Is she just going to die? Doesn't really make sense. Oh, but I guess you could just put it down to they're just stupid.
All right. So in terms of next steps, there is a animated series that's in development. So it's an anime style series that will be based on this story. So it's Army of the Dead Lost Vegas, and it'll center around some of the characters from Army of the Dead during the early phases of the zombie outbreak. So that's already in development. And then there's also a prequel that's in development called Army of Thieves. And it's going to be directed by the guy who acted as the safe open guy.
Yeah.
And apparently the filming for that already wrapped in December. So that should be coming out soon, also on Netflix. In terms of trivia, so Dave Bautista turned down an offer to appear in DC Comics' The Suicide Squad in order to work on this film.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yep.
A live tiger carefully decorated in makeup was used in some of the shots of the zombie tiger, with a trainer present at all times. As for the computer-generated model, the reference was one of Carol Baskin's tigers from the iconic Netflix documentary series Tiger King. And apparently one of the characters has a Omega symbol on his bicep or something, which is like a reference to Darkseid.
Oh, okay. Yep. Always bring you back to Justice League.
And this is the second film from Zack Snyder in which Michael Cassidy's character is killed off in the intro. Cassidy played Talon, or Jimmy Olsen, in Batman vs. Superman. Apparently there's also a reference to Die Hard when they unlock the safe and the classical music plays. It's a bit of trivia on the movie. But overall, yeah, it's not a great movie, but it's an okay.
It's
time.
decent.
Is there anything else we want to say?
Nah, that's it from me.
That's Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. I was going to say Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. I guess if people have any thoughts, if they want to express their thoughts to us on Army of the Dead, how do they go about it?
So we've got we're on all platforms at Cognitive Recalibration, and you can always email us at cognitiverecalibrationpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, and if you want to support the podcast, you can do so via Buy Me a Coffee, where you can give us a one-off donation, which we'll use to further develop it. And further to that, if you can give us a review on iTunes, that makes us more discoverable on search engines. So if someone were to search Army of the Dead review, we'd be one of the first options that comes up. Next week, we were actually going to do Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It, but based on our situation here, we're not quite sure if we'll be able to watch that next week. It's meant to be releasing in cinemas, but we're currently in lockdown, so we may not be able to watch it. If we don't do that next week, we'll be reviewing Cruella, which we're going to do anyway, but that will be the episode next week, which is the Disney Plus Premier Access. So that was also meant to be releasing in cinemas, but because we can't actually go to cinemas now, we're going to use the Premier Access.
Yeah.
I guess that brings us to the end of another episode. So thanks again for all your support. I hope you're all staying safe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Catch you guys in the next one.
See ya.